So you've probably heard this before. Real estate has made more millionaires than just about anything else. It's a powerful idea, right? But for most of us, hearing that doesn't make us want to run out and buy a building. It just brings up one huge question. Where do you even begin? Well, today, we're going to break that down.
And here it is, the famous quote from Andrew Carnegie himself. 90% of all millionaires become so through owning real estate. Wow. I mean, that's a heck of a statistic. But like I said, for most people, that doesn't light a fire. It just leads to that one big, overwhelming question.
Right? How do you even start? Let's be real. It feels intimidating. It sounds super complex, and yeah, it seems crazy expensive. So you know what? Let's just dive in and tackle those fears head on.
Okay, first things first, we've got to talk about your biggest investing fears. Seriously, think of these as the giant walls that stop people in their tracks before they even get started. So let's go ahead and knock them down one by one.
And here it is, the number one fear, the big one. Do I need a ton of money to start? I mean, this is what everyone thinks, right? That you need a dragon's hoard of cash just to play. But what if I told you that's one of the biggest myths out there? The answer? Well, it's probably not what you're expecting.
Okay, so this is where we need a little mindset shift. The secret isn't about investing with zero money. It's about investing with as little of your own money as possible. The pros, the people who really make it work, they've mastered the art of using what's called OPM, other people's money.
And look, this isn't some pie-in-the-sky idea. There are actual, real-world strategies for this. For example, there's something called wholesaling. That's basically where you become a matchmaker, finding good deals for other investors. Or you could team up, right? Find partners who have the cash while you do the work. Heck, there are even government loans like FHA or VA loans that let you get in with a super low down payment. The point is, there are a ton of different paths you can take.
All right, next up, fear number 2. Do I have to quit my job? You see it all the time on those late-night shows, right? The guy who quit his boring desk job and is now on a yacht. It makes you think you have to go all in, risk it all. But honestly, your regular 9-to-5, that might just be your biggest secret weapon.
Yeah, I know it sounds totally backwards, but hear me out. Keeping your job gives you a huge advantage. You're actually operating from a position of strength, not weakness.
I mean, just think about it for a second. That regular paycheck, that's your safety net. It pays the bills, so you're not desperate and forced into making a bad deal just to make rent. It also means you can pour every penny of profit back into your investments, and that's how you get that awesome compounding growth. And maybe the best part? Banks love seeing that stable income. It makes getting a loan 1,000 times easier.
Okay, let's tackle the third big myth. Is this whole real estate thing just a get-rich-quick scheme? You know the dream they sell, the Lamborghinis, the mansions, the idea that you just flip one house and you're retired. It's a tempting picture, for sure. But what's the real story?
And this really says it all. Real estate is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's a get-rich-sure plan. See the difference? It's not about buying a lottery ticket and hoping you hit the jackpot. It's about building a real business, which takes planning, it takes patience, and a whole lot of persistence.
So, okay, if the first step isn't about saving up a mountain of cash, then what is it? Well, this is probably the most important thing we're going to talk about today. It's like this quote says, "You wouldn't build a house on a shaky foundation, would you? Of course not. It would just collapse." Well, it's the exact same idea for your investing business. Your foundation isn't money, it's knowledge. Your very first investment has to be in your own education. And as you start learning, you have to be careful about who you listen to. There's a big difference between a guru and a mentor. The guru, they're trying to sell you a super expensive course, promising you all the secrets. But a real mentor, they're different. They're actually invested in helping you. They're sharing what they've learned from their own mistakes to help you succeed. And here's the amazing thing. You don't have to spend a fortune on this education. You can get a world-class education pretty much for free. Seriously, think about it. We have books, blogs, podcasts, online communities. It's like having a massive university library right at your fingertips. You just have to decide to open the book. Okay, so you're diving in, you're learning, but then you realize, whoa, the world of real estate is huge. There's flipping, rentals, commercial, land. It can get really overwhelming really fast. So the trick isn't to learn it all. The trick is to make that big world feel a lot smaller. I love this analogy. It's like a box of chocolates. You don't have to try them all. Your job is to find the one that you love, your niche. You want to become an expert in one thing and go super deep instead of trying to be a jack of all trades and master of none. So what could that look like? Well, for a lot of people, the perfect starting point is a simple single-family home. It's easy to understand and it's easy to get a loan for. Or maybe you're a bit more ambitious and you look at a small multifamily property like a duplex or a triplex. That's where you can do something really cool called house hacking, where you live in one of the units and the rent from the others pays your entire mortgage. Pretty sweet, right?
So, what's the right niche for you? Well, it really just depends on your goals. If you want a simple, classic entry point, a single-family home is great. If you want to get creative and potentially live for free, small multifamily is the way to go. And hey, if you don't want to deal with tenants at all, you could just invest in a REIT. That stands for Real Estate Investment Trust. Think of it like buying a stock, but instead of a company, you're buying a tiny slice of a big portfolio of properties.
Okay, we've busted the myths, we've talked about education and finding a niche, but now we come to the final boss, the biggest hurdle of all. It's that fear that keeps you stuck, just reading and reading some more, but never actually doing anything. They have a name for it, analysis paralysis.
You know, Winston Churchill had a great quote about this. He worried about inaction, not action. And that's the key. Feeling scared is totally normal. It means you're stepping outside your comfort zone. The fear itself isn't the problem. The problem is when you let that fear paralyze you and stop you from moving forward.
So how do you break through that paralysis? Well, it's a step-by-step process. First, you have to actually commit. Write down a plan. Then, you got to start participating. Jump into those online forums, go to a local meetup, start talking the talk. As you do that, you'll naturally learn the lingo and the big ideas. Then, find someone who's already doing it and just watch them, learn from them. And then, eventually, you got to do the last step. You got to get up and actually take action.
And please remember this. This is so important. You don't have to be an expert to get started. You just have to be a student. The goal isn't to have all the answers. The goal is to always be learning, always be asking questions, and to not be afraid to jump in and get your hands a little dirty.
So look, now you have the map. You know that the big fears are mostly just myths. You know the first step isn't money, it's education. And you know the way forward is to focus and then to take action. So really, there's only one thing left to figure out. What's the very first question you're going to ask today to get started?